Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. There are new clues about the firing or laid off or lack of contract renewal, whatever you want to call it, of Becca Kufrin from the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. No heads up. We hear from Charlene Joint, of course, host of Bachelor in Paradise Canada. She discusses the Becca situation on the Game of Roses podcast. All fantastic stuff. Do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I've got my teacher's wish list there. If you want to submit to be one of our teachers that we promote this coming month for the start of the new school year, we promote your Amazon wish list and get some new posters and magic markers and whatever the hell you need in your classroom. So we'll get into that. Yeah, so I'm going to play for you a clip of what Dear Shandy, which of course is Charlene and Andy from the Dear Shandy podcast, what they had to say regarding this story that's been going on for a bit. But first, let's hear a fun little clip of Charity Lawson on V103, the People's Station. I've never heard of it, but I'm sure it's a nice radio. Oh, it's in Atlanta, of course. So here she is discussing her season.
So what do you say to people that ask you, like, why would you ever even sign up for something like this? Or is the dating game really that bad where you would have to get on TV and actually do this?
Yeah, well, both. For one, I did not sign up. I was actually nominated by my best friend. So, I would have never, put myself out there like this.
Wow.
So the way, I just kind of came into all this and the timing of everything, I was like, okay, this must be, for me, or it must be, a sign that I need to, just, challenge myself. And so I was like, let's go for it. Who knows? And then obviously last season didn't end as I wanted it to, and so got the opportunity to be Bachelorette, and I was like, yeah, with dating in the real world, it is not any easier. If anything, it's probably worse. So I was like, let's
which is worse, the TV or the real world?
Real world, please.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
let's be for real.
It's hard
Why?
out in these
Wait,
streets.
tell me why.
Let's be for real.
That's why. Tell me why.
He knows. He's single himself for this reason.
Hush.
I mean, I think it's just in the real world, you have.
All right, so they're so good. I wanted to show this clip just because it's a look at what actual good hosts sound like. Because Bachelor Happy Hour, these Zoom interviews, tell me what you thought about the homecoming. They're so boring. And here we have Charity being like, for real, please, discussing the difference between dating in real life and dating on the show. Great chemistry on V103. I'm going to share more from this interview on the podcast today, Bachelor Rush Hour. Bachelor Happy Hour still exists, but we are Bachelor Rush Hour for your rush hour drive home. So in the meantime, let's get to what Charlene had to say regarding Becca Kufrin's dismissal. Now, you might not have been caught up on this story because, maybe you took the summer off. Where were you? You should have been here. We had a lot going on. But either way, it's been a fantastic story here where we reported that Becca Kufrin was laid off while pregnant. Well, maybe laid off isn't the right word. Claire and Emma podcast said, so they just laid Becca Kufrin off while she's pregnant? Is that the vibe here? Pretty gross look. Now, can you depending on her contract, maybe she wasn't laid off, maybe the contract ran up, but it's essentially the same thing. It was her job to lose until she lost it. And here is what Thomas had to say. Again, we're going to share what Charlene says, but here's the initial thing Thomas had to say about it. You can just Google it, look it up on YouTube, or get the book. Either way, I'm not trying to claim that Becca's 3 years on Bachelor Happy Hour it relates to someone who was a tenured professor for 30 years, but there's no reason why it couldn't have been a more seamless transition. And here is what Thomas had to say. And of course, that's referencing the fact that Becca never got a proper send-off on her show. Well, they're the employer. They don't have to get her send-off. Yeah, they don't have to do shit. The point is, it's customary when you leave a show as a host, you can have your final goodbye. Let's play his full Instagram story.
A lot of crazy online chatter that has made it to my DMs. So let me clarify real quick.
By the way, he's in his electric vehicle and the audio is so good.
There was a business decision that was made. That's a decision I don't even disagree with. What I have a problem with, what I am frustrated in, and what I am distancing myself from is there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do things. Over the last 3 months, I have witnessed an absolute masterclass in how you should not implement change, how you should not roll out new strategies, and how you absolutely should not treat people. This is in no way meant to be a distraction or take away from anything that Charity's doing. We want her to have an incredible experience as Bachelorette. We want her to thrive in life. This is no way a complaint in who's hosting a podcast.
No, because people were complaining, oh, they're distracting from Charity's season. Look, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can wish Charity on and also call out rubbish when you see it.
Serena was born for this role, and I hope her and Joe crush it. This is looking at negligence in the face and deciding, I don't want anything to do with it.
Is Thomas too good for us? I mean, this guy is way too educated and well-spoken to be a member of Bachelor Nation here. We're over here just trying to sling some simple tea, and here Thomas is just eviscerating the business practices of The Bachelor, and here's what Charlene on Game of Roses podcast had to say.
I'm the one with better press training, I suppose.
Let's sit back in the cut
To be honest, we've been pretty, this is going to be a cop-out answer, but it's the honest to God truth. We consider ourselves sort of Switzerland in terms of Bachelor Nation gossip. And
Which makes sense because she's employed by Bachelor in Paradise Canada. She wants to keep her job, keep it easy. Don't get too controversial. I get it.
I don't even know what happened with Becca Kufrin. I just know that Thomas, because we love Thomas.
I mean, and Becca.
And we love Becca
I started
too.
loving Thomas, and then Becca came along.
Yeah, but we saw some stories. So I guess she was let go without any notice. And of course, she's pregnant. So that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Serena and Joe. We had them on our podcast less than a month before that was announced, but they did not know. They did not know. And I believe them.
Yeah.
So I think it all kind of happened very, very haphazardly and quickly and last minute.
I think so as well. I mean, everything that I've heard, it has to do with Fleiss being ousted. Not only did they remove him, they tried to remove a swath of his loyalists in the producer tier.
Now, of course, Game of Roses is a play on the term Game of Thrones, right? And it's the idea that there's this hierarchy and jockeying for power. The producers want to, there's so many coalitions, and Fleiss was the big dog, and he had since been let go, and everything kind of, the buck stopped with him. So they're going to discuss the different moves that they think were made after Fleiss, the big bad witch, was let go. Ding! What does the song go? The big bad. You get the point.
Some of whom were double dutying the show and those podcasts, and so I think they were just eliminated. And then there was kind of an afterthought by Warner Brothers, like, "Oh yeah, what about those podcasts?" And so then they had to scramble to be like, "Well, let's just put in Grocery Store Joe and Serena."
So I've heard a different story, but I cannot disclose it. I'm being you, Clues. I'm doing what you do.
All right.
I know something, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it wasn't as simple as that, but this is just hearsay, so I'm not going to pretend that it's fact.
Well, Charlene, hear it and say it. Let's go. Come on. Pretend like it's fact. What's stopping everyone else?
Understood.
Can you imagine, like, Nick Viall? I'd like to share the story, but I don't want to pretend like it's fact. No, he runs with it. Run with it, Charlene.
Understood. Only Nick Viall was allowed to do those things.
I haven't listened to this before. I swear to God, I have not listened to this before. Chad, we are brothers. I love you that you went there because it's exactly what I was thinking. Let's watch this one more time. I wasn't even prepared with my Curb Your Enthusiasm music. Oh my gosh, so funny.
Wait, what you do?
All right.
I know something, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it wasn't as simple as that, but this is just hearsay, so I'm not going to pretend that it's fact.
Understood. Only Nick Viall was allowed to do those things.
Oh,
but as I understand it, though, also it had something to do with the Bachelor Live on Stage, which they had all set and ready in Arizona. It was going to be over the course of 3 weekends at this resort in Arizona, and Becca was going to host, obviously, and then that got canceled without any notification. Me and Lizzie were going to go to it, and we just got an email one day that was like, "Sorry, not happening."
Oh,
And that was it.
That sucks for Becca.
Well, those shows were canceled because ticket sales were so bad, they probably wanted to get their deposit back from the venue. I'm not kidding. That's just how it works.
Becca.
yeah.
That sucks big time, especially since she's really good at her job.
I agree with Charlene. I think Becca is probably the best host. Now, do I think Becca and Michelle did well together? No, because I don't think there was room for all of them. I think Becca needs to be her own entity when it comes to the podcasting game. And if Becca wants to get into podcasting on her own, I fully support that. But Becca needs to be in a framework that is similar to Caitlin Bristow's on Off the Vine. Too many chefs in the kitchen. Becca doesn't need Michelle there to go, "Oh, that's nice." Like there's just no room for it. And maybe Michelle would be great in her own interview style, but it's more NPR, whereas Becca's more Bravo. Do you understand?
I know. Well, we will have them on a love fest on our podcast, and we will get to the bottom of this.
So funny. Love Game of Roses. This just solidified my love for them even more. By the way, I had a show Friday night, And another comedian was on the show. She was traveling and visiting from San Francisco. And after the show, she goes, "This is going to sound weird," she said to me. She was like, "But you sound like a guy I listened to on a podcast." I was like, "Oh yeah?" She was like, "Were you on Game of Roses podcast?" So sure enough, the Game of Roses podcast is such a loyal audience that they even recognize voices out in the wild. And we really appreciate them. Good work by them. There's one more clip I wanted to share of theirs. And this is Bachelor Clues talking about why Mike Fleiss didn't want Charity to be the Bachelorette. Oh, hold on. Let's go here. Why don't we try it without the mute button on?
Tricks, personally.
I was actually looking for some change, and I didn't notice it.
Why do you think there has been a change?
Well, I think the first massive change was Charity Lawson. That was not his choice for Bachelorette. He had a very different choice. And I think it kind of came to blows. And that was one of the final things that kind of pushed it over the limit for Warner Brothers, NZK, potentially even ABC to say, we got to get this fucking guy out of here.
Do you know who his choice was? I'm just curious.
Yes, I do, but I cannot say. I'll just say that he was fighting very hard for a different Bachelorette who was not diverse, shall we say. And I think that kind of got lumped into the overall decision, along with all the other stuff that was coming out about his various behaviors behind the scenes over the courses of the past seasons. But, okay, so you don't feel...
All right, so there it is. There's Clues saying that Charity wasn't his choice and it could have been somebody else. So fascinating stuff over here. As far as the game goes, there really isn't much else to say. Becca's doing her own thing right now. You know what I mean? She's 32 weeks pregnant. I guess 33 weeks pregnant. Well, how long's a pregnancy? Not 36. Oh boy, she's a few. We are on baby watch here with Becca Kufrin. I think we're 4 or 5 weeks. What's the math on that? Either way, very beautiful in her Calvin Kleins there, showing us baby Thomas. Because it is going to be a boy. Is it Thomas Jr.? Who is it? By the way, I've got this for them. I got to get Thomas on Driving with Dave so I can finally give this to him. But this says Fantasy Suites. It's a bib here. My wife made it the logo, Fantasy Suites. If anyone wants to purchase a Fantasy Suites bib or other merchandise, there's a link to the merch store right below there. You can go check it out. We're never, yeah, that's right. I'll use Becca's pregnancy to promote my merch line. Why not, folks? All right, that's going to do it for this video. I'll be live streaming tonight, 1 hour before the episode of Charity's hometown season. We can see these four men look very solemn and dapper as they prepare at an airport hangar to get dumped. And after that, we've got an after show live stream. So tons of content coming your way. We'll be back. I'm going live on the Patreon right now if you want to be a part of the private community. I'll tell you what. If you're still listening and you want to know which of the Bachelor couples we've been discussing that is broken up, I'm going to break that news for you. It's not live. They haven't made any statements about it, but one of the Bachelor Nation couples, I believe, is broken up. I'm going to share that information with you on Patreon. So if you're thirsty for that tea, you know where to find it. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. And we'll be back right after this.